What does it mean when after a breakup, you look down at your phone and suddenly you have a message from the one person you never thought you would hear from ever again? Because they're the ones who broke up with you. They're the ones who discarded you. They told you they weren't ready for a relationship. They might have even told you that you guys are never going to be together again, but now they're just dying to know. Hey, how's your mom? How's the dog? They saw online that you were just starting to go back to school. How's your classes going? You don't really know how to respond to this person. You don't know if you should wait to respond to them. You don't even know why they're texting you. And the most confusing part is, instead of feeling on top of the world like you always imagined you would in this scenario, in this moment, you feel kind of sick or panicked, short of breath. Your anxiety might even have you breaking out into hives. I have personally had interactions with my exes that got me so emotionally wound up, I would go home and puke my guts out in the driveway. I didn't even make it into the house. Hello, friends. My name is Maria, and welcome to The Other Half, where we know attraction is not just about looks. We also need to take care of the inner half, because when our ex messages us, we do go through a lot of confusion. And today, we are going to talk about why your ex might push harder once you finally pull back, and why there shouldn't be any confusion when it comes to how to respond to people who have emotionally bullied you. So grab that bottle of nail polish and let's talk. If your ex happens to run into you at a party, or they start interacting with you on social media or sending you messages, and now you are getting a negative physical reaction, it means that no matter what kind of confusion you hold for this person in your mind, your body remembers exactly how everything went down. Your panic response isn't one of someone who was involved in a beautiful love story and now you are about to be reunited with the person you were meant to be with. It is the response of someone who was emotionally bullied. And when your ex discards you, but continues to orbit you and breadcrumb you or even sleep with you with no real intention of showing up in your life in any real way, you are being emotionally bullied. I hate bullies. My personal definition of a bully is someone who goes out of their way to harass another human being who is minding their own business, trying to be themselves and live their life. A lot of times, people like us who end up in real abusive relationships, we were bullied a lot growing up. And if you talk to anyone who was bullied, you bet they've got trauma. They've got PTSD from it. And they always say the same exact thing whenever they are asked what these bullies did to them. Because no matter what the trending label is, or no matter what their attachment style, bullies are all the same. Bullies will corner you, and they'll pin you right where they want you. And even though you don't like what's happening, you feel like you cannot get away. Bullies make you feel bad about being who you are. Bullies embarrass you in front of other people, and they sabotage important memories that should be great. Bullies take from you, and they don't care how you feel about it. Bullies call you names. Bullies will attack you. Bullies block your way when all you're trying to do is move forward. Bullies cause a great deal of harm, and then they run away. But don't worry, they'll be back. Bullies are scary. And that's why whenever you're around them, you feel understandably panicked. I know when we love someone, it's easy to romanticize the good times, but think about it. If they had not put you through so much pain, you would not be experiencing this kind of PTSD anxiety. Have you ever seen the book called The Body Keeps the Score? Your brain gets really good at blocking out bad times and making excuses for people who have treated you terribly, trying to convince yourself maybe them reaching out is a good thing. Maybe they were avoidant. Maybe they were traumatized. Maybe they had a bad childhood. Maybe they're scared. They're a bully. Your brain is confused. but your body remembers what you went through. Now, I had people bully me in high school. And then years later, like after a high school reunion or something, they'd want to reach out and friend me on social media. And I never accepted their friend request. And maybe that sounds petty, but I feel like I'm treating them exactly how they deserve. I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm not acting like we're friends either. You don't have to be mean to your ex, but you don't have to teach them that what they did to you was just fine and forgotten. And as I always say, it's one step at a time. If you have expressed to your ex that you need space and they won't leave you alone, or if you're finding that every time they interact with you on social media or they message you, you regress so hard that it tanks your progress on an important goal or at your job, or you feel like you can't get out of bed for like 3 days afterwards, please consider just temporarily blocking them. I know that standing up to your ex by blocking them or ignoring them is pretty nerve-wracking, but you can practice not giving in to emotional bullies in small ways, because when you are practicing boundaries, you kind of never really start with the final boss, right? For example, for a long time, there was a woman who always came to social gatherings with mutual friends, and it was no state secret that she did not like me. And I knew this because people would mention to me that even when I would invite her to like my birthday party, she would say really nasty things to people behind my back just to put me down or embarrass me while she was standing at the party that I had invited her to. And one thing that I would always do, like whenever I would show up to social gatherings, is I would like to greet people and give them hugs. And I would go down the line and I would always include her in the hug because, I don't know, I guess I just didn't want to create an awkward moment. And I was sort of more concerned about her feeling weird. I know, recovering people pleaser, but one day I thought to myself, I don't have to disrespect the woman. I don't have to ignore her, but I don't have to overextend myself and greet her with an embrace. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is there is a difference between being kind and kissing someone's butt. Let's meet the reality of this relationship right where it is. And funny enough, I never hugged her again, and she never hugged me either. And instead of feeling weird or awkward like I predicted it would, it actually felt a lot more natural. It felt better because the energy finally matched the reality of what was actually going on in the relationship. But hypothetically, in this same scenario, what if I stopped giving her hugs and she began to work overtime to try to act really friendly with me? Well, behavior like this tells you a lot more about the other person. This is what myself and others call tantrum behavior. And I talk about this in other videos where exes would come back into my life because no matter how much time had passed, they probably remembered me as someone who always treated them like they were the center of my universe, and I always treated them like no matter what they did to me, I still wanted them. They could never do any wrong. But after some time, some nail painting, and some clarity, when I finally saw them for the bullies that they were, and I started treating them as the bullies they probably still are, my behavior totally changed, and that's when I could see their anxiety come out. They would try to crack more jokes, or they would show up at my work, or they would start blasting my phone with text messages even when I didn't answer. Now that's a huge change for someone like your ex, someone who always got to be the one who decided whether or not you existed that day in the messaging process. When you finally begin to start treating these bullies the way they deserve, they start upping the ante in their behavior and mostly in their words. They start saying sweeter things. They start responding to you faster. Now, does this mean that you should banter back with them and crack jokes and reach out a few days later and see how they're doing? Heck no. And don't forget, it is super easy for your ex to move their little thumbs around and say whatever they want on a screen. But where were they when things got hard? Were they next to you? No. But they'll text you. like nothing traumatic ever went down. Have you ever noticed that boyfriends or girlfriends who are emotionally or physically abusive act like they don't care if you died, but once you summon the courage to begin packing your bags, they begin to panic and they begin to backpedal? It's the same thing, and it's why you have to be so careful, because there is a chance that the reason they're suddenly so into you isn't necessarily because they've changed and they're ready to give you everything you've ever wanted and commit. Their anxiety could be raised because they're not used to you treating them like that, and they don't like to be treated like that. They are finally finding out what you have known for a long time. No one likes to be treated like they don't matter. The reason that they liked you, the reason they have a hard time letting you go, is because you were always someone who treated them like they were special. You saw them. You accepted them. So now if you begin ignoring them in true bully fashion, they have to prove to themselves that they still have you cornered right where they want you. You are theirs, and you will not get away. Upping the ante and tantrum behavior can be dangerous because if you are confused, it can feel like maybe you're finally getting some footing, or maybe they miss you. Maybe they are ready to put the relationship back together. Now, every breakup is different, and I do believe there are certain kinds of breakup situations where the relationship can be repaired. I think it happens all the time. I also believe that many relationships can be improved and repaired after a period of space and no contact, especially when both parties realize that after the time away, they don't want to miss out on the opportunity of having the other person in their life. And if you ever need encouragement in your no contact journey, I will put my contact info in the description below. And yes, the calls do cost a little bit of money, but what I can promise you is they will never cost you an ounce of your self-respect. But all that being said, if someone has discarded you and you have finally done the hardest thing and you have met them right where they are and you said, okay, I love you and I am devastated. I do not agree with the breakup, but I understand you do not want a relationship. And then they continue to reach out with no real intention of giving you anything that they know you want. And that's the most important part. They know what you want. They know you are hurting. And they know that you want things that they're not going to give you, but they have no problem continuing to worm their way back into your life. Then there is no confusion. See them for the emotional bullies that they are. And understand that people like this are so incredibly unattractive. And who wants to be with someone who only gives you attention once you start to pull back or not treat them as well? And do you want a relationship with someone that's only sustainable if you treat them with disrespect? You will lose all respect for them, and then they won't even be attractive to you. What a prize! Over time, it's easy for bullies that you grew up with or people like your ex to let go and let God because, hey, it's all water under the bridge when they're the ones that were always on the top, doling down the punishment. You do not owe them the pleasure of your presence in their life, and you are a pleasure to be around because I'm going to guess that you've never caused another human being to vomit in their driveway. If someone who has hurt you causes you to feel confusion and you cannot calm your mind, listen to your body. Your mind remembers the fantasy, but your body knows the reality. And if you want to know if your ex is serious when they pop back up in your life, I'll post that video right here. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting The Other Half.